I can tell you that we have looked forward to this particular conversation about the Transcontinental Race. And it's a little bit after the fact because we've been quite busy. We've all been quite busy. And maybe that's allowed a lot of reflections to sink in. I don't know, but we're here. And I know I have a ton of questions, and I know there will be a ton of questions. But Georgie, tell us what the Transcontinental Race is in the 2025 version, because I know I've learned a lot about it from following you, and I didn't know a whole lot about it before you went and did it. So lay it out for us what this race is.
Sure, I think the first one was in 2013, perhaps about 20 riders, and now it grew to 400. I started by Mike Hall, who tragically lost his life on a race in Australia. And so it's a bit of a mythical event because of Mike Hall, what he has done for the cycling community. But I think it's pretty unique because essentially it's a different race every year. And I think a lot of riders are coming back for that very same reason, because you don't know where the race is going to start, where it's going to end, and you don't even know in what direction it's going to go. Mostly, as usual, maybe because of wind direction is west to east, but one of the editions was east to west. I think from Bulgaria, actually, where I'm born, to Brest in France. In the early years, it used to start from not England, but mainly Belgium, France, and it will finish in Greece, Turkey, I think once in Romania. So it's pretty interesting.
So is there when is the route released, or do you make your own route, and are there checkpoints? So walk us through that.
Sure. Usually next month, usually in November, the route is being released. They're actively researching new parcours, which is a required section. They're checking on road conditions and stuff like that. I know the organizers were there for one of their other events in the Balkans, so they have a lot of people on the ground during their events during the day, and they're kind of making decision for next year. But essentially, yes, you design your own course, which was one of the things that was really not problematic for me, but it adds a lot of complexity and time commitment. But this year was from Santiago Compostela to Constanța, Romania, so west to east. And basically, I think we had 5 control points. Those are required. And then we had, I forgot how many, but similar amount, 5, 6, 7 parcours, which is a section of road that is required. You have to ride it. And I'm only saying this because to get into the general classification GC, which is very prestigious, you have to ride all the parcours. You have to ride the entire course. You have to make it to the checkpoint before it closes, and then you get a GC status. But there are riders that take longer. They don't really care about any of it. And if you're outside of GC, the organizers don't really check your course. It's kind of a finisher status.
So how many hours do you reckon you spent on designing your route?
I think I started immediately in November. I was spending 20 hours a week. I would say easily 200, maybe close to 300 hours.
Yeah. This is mind-boggling. On top of the training, on top of working. So like, what does that look like? You're looking at maps, like you're planning sections of routes because I'm assuming it's completely self-supported. You're also looking at, where am I going to get water, food, lodging?
Yes.
So how
complicated? So now I can say I'm an expert. I wasn't really good at route planning, and a month before the race started, I believe, they ceased their partnership with Komoot and they signed up with Ride with GPS. Thanks for me, because I wasn't used to Komoot. I was going to design it and ride with GPS again. But to your question, basically the way I broke it down, I broke it into chunks of a couple of 100 miles, because if you load a large size file, your GPS have too many points to compute, slows down. And then I will isolate the parcours in a different section. Then obviously on the course, I will meticulously mark all the hotels, restrooms, restaurants, bakery is very important. water spots, and there's different layers in right with GPS. I think it's OSM maps. You can see the public fountains there. So I will mark, I think mainly cemeteries in France, because France is a problem. I think Bastille Day on Sunday, everything is closed. Italy can be a problem. In the middle of the day, southern Italy is very hot. Nothing's open between, I don't know, 1 and 4. You have no water. But so yeah, it took a lot of time, including, hotels specifically. I was bookmarking them in my Google Maps. I was bookmarking it in my booking.com profile. So if I needed to sleep, I just go on the app and I'm like, okay, the next I have, as favorite, it's 30 or 50 miles away. This didn't mean that it's available, but all the information was there, and I was at ease. So
Yeah.
I know it was a huge advantage.
That's really technically that's an awful lot of extra planning. How long, when I went online to check, they say 4,000 kilometers, but how long was your route in 2025?
Mine was 3,025 miles. I believe that's 48 and some change, close to 4,900 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was your final time? What was, yeah.
17 days and 14 hours, I believe. Yeah. And the distance, for example, the shortest distance I'd see, there was someone with 4,600, but there was someone with 5,600. 1,000-kilometer difference.
And that's just personal route finding or personal route choices.
Both, some guys say Leah Wilcox, she will go for the crazy mountain with her skills and cut short. So her could be slightly shorter. And there's guys, I don't like this ferry. I'm going to go north and maybe visit this other country. And they just end up, riding longer.
So, okay, that raises a question, and I'm firing all of these questions at you. So, how many ferries were there?
It was just one. So we had to make a strategic decision. I kind of lost one day there, honestly. Yeah, this was a breaking point for me. We had to take one ferry from Italy into Albania. The next control point was in Borel. Right. The ferry lands in Durrës. It's a 9.5-hour ferry over the Mediterranean. And you have to be there 2 or 3 hours in advance. And it runs twice a day. So it's either 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. And if you miss one of the two, which happened to me, not pleasant, especially for the top guy, for everyone, right? But the top guys, if you build a league for 1 week and now you're sitting at the ferry and the competition is catching you, I know that must suck.
But that must suck big time, because that's a 12-hour and a 9-hour even split. Yeah, that's.
But I think in this instance, both the leaders made the ferry on time.
Yes.
I think Christoph did Christoph. You see, I was following you, but all the other stuff from the lead was filtering back. Did Christoph miss the ferry? And no, so did all top. Oh, okay, yeah. What
I think
incredible.
I think he fell in a little bit whenever that happened to him.
Well, it's a big gap, isn't it?
I mean, he knew it was over, like at that point, like really. But the two front guys, they had it really down to a good measurement.
It begs the question, Georgie, why did you choose this race for your A race this year? I mean, what was it about this season or your progression through all of your race experience that you landed on TCR?
Sure, yeah. I really wanted to do it in 21. COVID happened, so I went across the country, did bike nonstop US that year. But I really wanted to do it. Another reason was, it's in Europe. I've never been to some of these countries. Obviously, part of what I do is I raise funds for breast cancer. One of the auditions ended in Bulgaria. I was really hoping to do that one. It didn't work out. I think they canceled it. I don't know. It was COVID year. But you always want to challenge yourself. My kids are part of it. I think this will help them when they grow up, knowing that nothing can stop them if they work hard towards something. But challenging myself and seeing what my limits are. I think this really plays down in my strengths. This kind of race.
Oh, there's so much in that, There's okay, shall we jump into your preparation or let's jump into your preparation before we go to the race because I really want to spend some time and kind of the mechanics of the race.
Sure, and let's not forget the race ended in Bulgaria. So as soon as I heard the announcement in November, I was like, race across the East. Let's send an email. Please postpone. I'm going to do Transcontinental. Essentially, it's the same cost, guys. Race across the East, West, or TCR. Of course, I would choose Transcontinental because otherwise the issue is vacation time, right? If it was
Right.
finishing in some other place where it will take you additional 2, 3, 4 days travel, I wouldn't be able to do it.
It takes a lot of confidence to take on something like TCR, and I know it's about stretching limits, but the confidence inside of you to test yourself in this way must have been, your progression as an unsupported cyclist must have taken you to this point where you're ready for TCR.
Yeah, without a doubt, friends that ride with me regularly, like Saki, for example, from Bar Ultra, he knows firsthand how serious I took this, yeah, I have the history. I've done so many things. I have a lot of miles on my legs. I went 150%, I added yoga. I added weight training. I went to Dr. Vince in California to make sure my bike fits and do some more testing there. I did some heat acclimation. Obviously the training program, I talked to Joe as well. That was really planned towards peaking before TCR, and I think it paid off.
Yeah, no, and there's something really to commit like that is where you get the real depth and the real experience. So,
yeah, because I'm sorry interrupting you, but I've been there, right? Yeah, people say it's a benefit, which it is, but exactly for that reason, I know I have to do more because the more you do in training, Joe knows, the easier you will race. I know I had to just go 200%, in order to have a smooth race. So I know there's going to be many moments and despair, problems, and doubt, but it all worked out again.
would you have changed anything in your training before you talk about what your training was? Was there a gap?
Well, I started training a little late, mid-January. I was burned out from last year and a little injured, so I had to recover. Honestly, 8 out of 10. I don't think I could have done much better. And considering I have a job as well, I'm happy.
8 out of 10 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Did I read that you had a crash just before the start, or did you come off your bike? Oh, George.
Yeah, I had 3 crashes during the year. One in March, one 3 weeks before. And when I arrived there, my shoulder was in pain. I wasn't going to talk about it because I don't look for excuses. We're always in some sort of pain. But right shoulder, my hip, and then my right foot was not in great shape, But as all of these races go, you on day 3, now left knee hurt, you forgot about the right shoulder. Like, with time, either your mind or just into the race, I'm like, what? It's 2-week race. I'm going to recover during the race, as crazy as it might sound. Yep.
I hope, we're going to cut that bit out because that is what every ultra cyclist needs. No, don't worry about your shoulder. Your knee's going to hurt a little bit.
Yeah. But, it wasn't broken, it was just bruised. It was in pain, but it wasn't unsafe to the point where I can't be in the aero bars or brake, It was just uncomfortable.
Obviously it's not like going to a supported race where you can take multiple bikes for different parcours and different road surfaces. So how did you, knowing that there were some challenging road surfaces, how did you set your bike up? What decisions did you make?
Yeah, I built my own bike. I used the Spiegel Diablo. I had the San Marino, and I was going to use that. It was a newer bike, but the Diablo takes slightly wider tires. I went with that. I wish I had something to take even wider tires, but I used what I have. And I think one of the most amazing things is that I had the 28 millimeter tubeless tires, and everyone was telling me how this is not sufficient. And I was with rim brakes, and I had 0 flat, guys. 17
0 flats the whole time.
in the roads, 0 flats.
Wow.
Tubeless 28 millimeter. Obviously, in the rain, I wish I had disc brakes, but there was no rain. Besides a little bit of mist the first day. So, it's not great. Say I was descending Col della Finestre after the, is it Siena? Maybe it's Siena, or the first parkour in Italy we had there by Susa. Anyhow, it's a nasty parkour, maybe 10, 15 hours on the gravel, but then afterward, you go down Col della Finestre. And so, descending 10, 15% on rim brakes can also be really tough on your wrists. And it's painful on the hands.
And so I'm trying to imagine how much food and fluid you can carry on your bike. So what is that setup?
Yeah, when I crossed the US,
Oh, I think your sound has gone off, Georgie.
It's about carrying that much.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my
connected and reconnected. But I think I had 2 1-liter bottles, one 750, and I had my little backpack. But I wasn't throwing too much water in the backpack. It was mostly so I can, in the zipper inside, I can carry all my passport, my brevet card, the 3 or 4 valuable things that I check on every control, and then I will stuff it with food because they had front pockets, so I will have a lot of food on it. But yeah, basically 4 liters at most.
Could I ask, you mentioned the gravel sections that were quite long, 8, 9 hours or whatever. How many gravel sections in total did you go across?
So first parkour is not. Second one, Picos de Europa, was not a lot of climbing. I think in Italy there's 2, and then Albania, Albania there's 1, but you can avoid it if you take the detour, which I did, extra 65 miles, and I actually finished faster than some that took it. The last one in Romania, 4 or 5, I think. But yeah, some were really disgusting, like Strada di Alsieta. That's a pretty brutal climb there. I think it was built during the war. And just big gravel pieces. You're at, I don't know, 2,700 meters, ATVs blowing up dust, motorcycles, lack of oxygen. That's really tough, especially if you end up there in the middle of the night. So, yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, my mind absolutely boggles. Okay. Before the start line, did you have a strategy of sleep? What was your strategy?
Very simple. I think that with the years I simplify things more and more, and you have to in what I do, right? Efficiency. Basically, I was like, know what? I ride 18 to 19, 20 hours, sleep 3, 1 or 2 wasted for stoppage, outsourcing food and stuff. Did it work that way? Not really, but you gotta have a plan. Certain times you have to strategize, right? Maybe you want to sleep more because you're tired, or because you want to avoid the heat, or because you want to arrive at the gravel at certain time, or beat the ferry. So, on the go, you have to make adjustments. But at least the first 3-4 days, you can kind of eyeball it. And I was pretty close. Besides, I had quite a few big mechanicals, which almost took me out on day 2.
Yes. Okay. So you get yourself to the start line. Like the day before, a couple of days before, what is that like? You're about to enter something just that's so big, that you're taking on something so big. What is going through your mind at this point?
Well, the main thing that was going through my mind was calling the airline. Hey, where's my bicycle?
No, did your bicycle not make it?
My bicycle didn't make it, right? So this time I was like, I need to arrive there 3-4 days in advance, so just to the time zone. And in case this happens, I have time to address it. Thank God. Yeah. So the bike didn't make it. And the lady was like, the agent at the airport was like, yeah, don't worry. It happens a lot. The belts are old and they get stuck. They'll bring it to you tomorrow. I'm like, how do you know? And how do you know it's there? She was very friendly, and she lived next to the hotel where I was. So she called me the other day and she said, my guy's on the way with your bicycle. So, but yeah, to your question, I try to just sleep, eat, adjust the time zone, fine tune the bike. That's all you can do. I avoided people. Some guys got sick, even I think from the top 10. The guy that won Trans Am, Abdullah, he got sick and he got his roommate sick, and both bailed out on day 2. So I wanted to avoid contact, including in the U.S. As hard as of a decision that was. The weeks prior, I was staying away from people.
I think that's so smart. I do think that's so smart because the time investment, the cost investment, it's really big risk. And that's for the most part, quite controllable. Like, we don't masks everywhere whenever we have prior to a start line. So I'm really pleased to hear that.
I love people, but it's not worth it.
You'll love them in like 17 days time. So what's the start like? Is it a mass start? Is it an individual start?
It's a mass start. It's a mass start. I have to send you videos. It's pretty special.
Yeah, so you have 400 solo riders. It's a mass start.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge race. So where did it start? And is it just literally like lines on a road? Like, paint that picture for us.
Yeah, so we started Santiago Compostela, which is not on the Atlantic Ocean, but the first parkour takes us to the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, so first it was the pre-race meeting, and we were in this big building. I mean, we barely fit. We couldn't breathe. We had to open the doors. It was so many people. But the start was at the cathedral in Santiago Compostela. I think the remains of St. George are there, one of the apostles.
Yeah.
So, it's a tile, cobblestone kind of situation, and everyone is there. Just one big pile of people. There's, I guess, a couple of police lead cars, but I was trying to stay away from the crowd because I've seen this in the past. It's not worth it crashing. I knew the first 10, 15 miles had some, it's just city. It's, what do we call those? Not roadblock, but furniture, right? Road furniture. But it was a big group, and I don't know the skills of these riders. Some were attacking like the race will end in 1 hour. So I wanted to stay safe, but it was pretty exciting, to see this many people, the announcement, families there, and everyone cheering. Because Compostela is very touristy, You have the Camino de Santiago, the trail. I think there's 4 different routes, and people walk it. I think the longest takes 18 days to walk. So in the whole town, you see people hiking with these backpacks. And so anyway, huge crowd. And there was a lot of people. It was pretty exciting to see.
That's fantastic.
Rent a crowd.
Well, it's more than rent a crowd. These are disciples of our pilgrims, I think, in terms of hikers. Okay, so mass start, you're just doing your thing. As the miles progress, like, how much contact do you have with other riders, and when does it start to get lonely out there?
Immediately, it's a big race. A lot of people, but because we do our own routes, as soon as you leave the parcours, which are required, meaning we're all there, you just see a big gang of people, tail lights, headlights, because we started in the evening. Yeah, 8 p.m. I think. Very late. Yeah. But as soon as you leave the parcours, and our next control was, I don't know, 700 miles, something crazy, right? So, which, for some could take 4 days, for some can take 2.5. But yeah, just 5-10 hours after that, you see people just go in different directions, which is one of the coolest things, because you meet some people, you're not allowed to ride next to them because you get penalty. They can see the dots next to each other. Yeah. But, as you pass by, you're allowed to just say hi, obviously. And so anyway, you meet people, and then all of a sudden, they go left, the other guy goes right. You see someone coming from the top, and in 20 hours, you meet again because you close to another control. So it's pretty cool,
Do you have to keep your route secret? I'm assuming you're not allowed to publish your route, or it's not smart to publish your route, so no one knows what the other has planned.
You're not allowed.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not allowed to share it at all. Although there's only but few options, right? If you really do your due diligence, they will differ slightly. For example, before we get to Col Tourmalet, that was one of the controls. So after Picos de Europa, I think the Covadonga is there. Some guys decided to go into France by the coastline, so stay on the coastline, the north of Spain, and enter France, and then come down through the Alps into Col de Tourmalet, and then come back because the parkours are there in the control. But the rest of us, like me, we went south towards, I think, Jaca eventually. I forgot the towns before. But we went south of Oviedo, I think. Oviedo, Bilbao, maybe. And we entered through Jaca. So they got rained on and they got wind. And for us, maybe more climbing, but the weather was much better, you know?
Okay. So the first, I mean, I obviously follow your media, and then I see this picture of you sitting on the ground outside a bike store on day 2, and I'm just like, no, Georgie, no. What happened?
Yeah, so I think first the day before that, I didn't post anything, but I broke 2 spokes. I was at some gas station, and this is the first day I'm using electronic shifting. So as I'm leaving, 2 other guys were coming behind me. They said hi. First pedal stroke, I guess I was cross-chain, big ring, and I heard a snap. 2 spokes were gone, right? So clink, clink, rear wheel is wobbly. Damn. So there was a village maybe 5 to 10 miles away. I forget. Might have been 15. Who cares? And the wheel was touching the rim, so I was like messing with the skewer and just trying to bend it a little bit myself. I was like, man, it's getting late because you can only use publicly available services, meaning I cannot just call a taxi or anything like that or ask anybody to help me. And so luckily the terrain was okay, like flat, a little bit of descending, and I found this guy that's renting bicycles. He used to sell bicycles and he had some tools, and he was able to help me in that shop. And I was so lucky. But then as I left, I realized, well, hours after I left, oh snap, he still have 8 of my spokes because I had 10 spokes. So, but then the picture is after the big accident the following day, which I think is part of the spoke situation because the derailleur was kind of messed up. It was making weird noises on and off. And then I slept well because I think I had a huge day, right? Going into, the first control point, Picos de Europa. It's a big mountain range there in the north of Spain. And say I left at 2 in the morning, my hotel, from what I recall. Hour and a half, 2 later, I hear a big bang from the rear. And I come off the bike. I mean, the derailleur plate, on top of the derailleur, there's a spring inside, but there's this plate. It's snapped in half. I've never seen anything like it in 25 years. Completely gone. And then I come off, I take the wheel off. The derailleur hanger too is bent. I see flakes of the carbon of the frame just hanging. I was like, man, I don't know if this is rideable. And I was alerted because I just left the hotel, so I'm fully loaded. The bike is probably 50 pounds, so I had to use these straps, a top to place it on my back like a backpack, which was the plan for the gravel. I had yoga shoes, so because I was walking actually some of the master section. And so again, thank God, there was a town. There was, I don't know, 30 minutes walking from there, 45-minute walking. There's a tough walk. But obviously 4 in the morning. And so the picture you saw was from noon. The shop opened at 10, 11. And so yeah, I waited 6 or 7 hours. Obviously, I just woke up, so I wasn't able to sleep. And I was not in a great mood, you know. I was not in a great mood. I was Googling one-way ticket to Bulgaria, you know. I mean, it didn't look good at all.
That's kind of devastating. So the bike shop, obviously everything got fixed. What did everything get fixed at that bike shop?
Yeah. You know, pretty amazing because I'm a mechanic myself. So we sat there with this mechanic, pretty cool guy, Ramon. And you know, my Spanish is 0. And so, but his English was better than my Spanish. So he's like, my distributor can bring the part in 3 in the afternoon, And so just wait. And I was like, no, there has to be another way. So I'm like, how about this? We just make the rear mechanical, leave the front the way it is because the front was fine. So I'm like, we can run the cable on the outside on the tube, run it along the tube, and flap mechanical rear derailleur, and that's what we did. He had some used; they were both used, so he changed my shifter and my derailleur with mechanical. Then I was off to the races. Plus, my electronic shifting now lasts longer because it's just the front.
See, every cloud. So
Can I just ask why you didn't go with mechanical?
Because of my hands, I had some issues, and I knew I used to do a compact chainring, but I knew for this race with so much climbing, close to I think 200,000 feet, and all these nasty climbs, I gotta have double. And so I was with 3652, but I hate front derailleurs. Plus, there's a lot of tension on the front derailleur and that cable. And when you're tired after a week or two, you end up shifting with your elbow. I mean, you can't even, touch
yeah, that's a good reason.
the hood lever.
Yeah.
So that was really the reason. Save my hands.
Okay, so we're back in the race. This is day 2, day 3. What's the next big obstacle that comes your way?
Well, we were north, so we got a little warm up because we were along this coastline. I missed one of my hotels. They were bookmarked, but of course I never checked if it was available. Like I didn't book the room; it was last minute decision, so I had to go back like hour and a half. So I kind of lost 2 or 3 hours there, but I had to make strategic decision. Also, because now you have to plan on what's coming next. Like that mechanical kind of messed up my schedule on what time I kind of want to arrive on the parkour or elevation and stuff like that. No obstacles really there, but eventually we end up climbing Picos de Europa. I think it was about 20-30 miles from the Covadonga, which is famous climb on the Vuelta. And so yeah, I don't know, 12-13 miles climb, pretty solid climb, 8-9%. I met some people, and then you get to the top, and then the control is another mile and a half or two that it's 15 to 20%.
Up by the
For
school?
no reason. Yeah, no reason. There's no town, there's nothing there but one shack. I don't know, one place that ran through. And so, yeah, some people are really unhappy. And I was there, 12, 1 in the morning. It was cold. And the last section, I decided, you know what? I'm going to walk it. I'm biking with 4 miles an hour or 5. Walking is 2.5. There's no point biking 20% grade with 50-pound bike. I'm going to kill I'm going to hurt myself. So that was tough. And afterwards was tough because there was no town there and I had to sleep. So, well, there was, but you kind of have to go down the mountain and sleep, but then you have to go back up because there was a parkour afterwards, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it was some gravel parkour. And so I just descended the 2 miles and there was a church. I saw 10, 15 people in front of the church just laying everywhere. Like, the plague is there. So I just pulled out my little inflatable pillow, an emergency blanket, and I got some sleep there.
What goes on? I mean, does your mind go up and down in terms of mood, in terms of motivation, or do you keep it pretty steady, Georgie?
I don't stress as much. I think it's because of all the experiences I've been through. To me, it's problem solving always. Not really as emotional as how do I solve this? Oh, this really bad thing just happened. But my immediate reaction is not worrying. It's okay, I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to keep on going. So it's really constantly problem solving.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I'm going to take that that little segment out because that's brilliant. Okay, so you're at a church, you're sleeping, and you just get it. It's Groundhog Day. You get up and you ride for 20 hours. You find some food. You find some water. I must say there were some wonderful food images on your social media feed, and I was always really happy to see some pastries and the folk that carb up my friend carb up.
Oh.
How did your fueling, nutrition, fluid go?
You know, in that regard, to be honest with you, it was one of the success stories. You know, I never puked. I was never sick.
Yeah.
I never even had acid reflux, nothing at all. You know, and with your suggestion, you know, I wasn't overfeeding. I always had something nearby, but small bites, digest it, not overdo it. Obviously, if it's warm or big effort, big climb coming, you kind of have to change things up. But yeah, mostly I was fueling from bakery. So there's three things we constantly worry, right? Next control, food and water, shelter. That's constantly in your head and you make calculations. But morning, my number one goal was finding a bakery. So I will stuff, I don't know, 20 items in all the pockets and bags. So that will last me until afternoon, evening. But in the evening, before I go to sleep, and it's what people don't see, you have to find a dinner, but you also have to find breakfast, right? So that can take you time. You got to find, and you know, you're not going to go to a restaurant and wait unless there's no other option, but ideally find a little grocery store and just buy a bunch of stuff because you don't know where you're going to find food next, you know? So
Did you lose weight? Or how much weight did you lose in the whole race, do you think?
probably 12 pounds. I regained it fast. I think the big issue was really the almost heat stroke in Italy. That night when I looked myself in the mirror, I probably lost that day more than 5 pounds in obviously mostly liquid, but I looked malnourished. It was not a good picture to see in the mirror.
Yeah. That amount of volume loss in one day is problematic if you can't get to fluid. You had no sickness, no like physiological. I mean, you had your aches and pains, but nothing major. That is a huge success story over 17 years.
No saddle sores. I was racing for the ferry, so that day I aggravated my Achilles. But because I missed it, you know, God took care of me. I missed it, so now I had time to recover. So maybe it was meant to be.
As the race unfolds and, you know, you're like 10 days in, you're 11 days in, time goes on. When is there a shift where you think, you know what, I'm going to make it. I'm doing this. This is coming together. Or what happens in the middle there?
You know, I was thinking, man, just let me get to that boat and make it to Albania in the Balkan. I'm born in the Balkan. It's kind of, you know, the birds help, you know, everything helps. Like, man, if I make it to the Balkans, I'm like, well, I can make it on one leg. I'm gonna walk to the finish. You know, you tell yourself these things. But yeah, until then, I wasn't sure because once, there's also, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna miss the ferry or not. But I knew if I make it there, then I have time to finish because I was also considering quitting because I can't make it back to work on time. Like if I had a few more issues, I could have still finished. But it was just time was just becoming a problem.
Right. Do you get lonely out there?
Get lonely? Of course you do. Of course you do. But I need it. I like it. Peaceful. You can focus. It's just you, the element, you know, the nature, the animals. Even if I see a couple of guys during the day because it's some small villages, they're the nicest people ever. The most unfortunate people, they're the most humble. So I enjoy it.
Yeah. Any animal sightings that were rare or unusual? And any fear in the nighttime?
Well, someone pulled a gun on me in Macedonia. Yeah, I know there's a lot of stories, guys.
Tell us about that.
So they banned some all Europe, I think in Europe, mainly Romania, Bulgaria, and some there's a couple of highways in like Albania and whatever. But some of these countries, you can see heat on the map. You know, it's you're designing the route, meaning locals use them, but TCR bans them. And this forced us to go into this forest and take this detour. It was gravel, but it wasn't really gravel. It was dirt road, but like in the middle you have 3 feet wide, and then on the both sides you have 7 feet holes, as if big machinery was passing by, right? And I was there, you know, in the middle of the night again, and I just woke up. I remember talking to my sister. Hey, I slept well. I'm clean. I'm ready to go. I ate, and you know, 1 hour afterward, I was on this road, and I was like, oh man, this is really tough. You can't even bike, so I had to walk, and there's no road on the map, which people warn me in Albania. You know, you look at your GPS, you plan something. Currently, your dot is not on the road. It's just a dot on the map. So I don't know where I'm going. I'm walking, and then the dirt road splits in three. I'm like, okay, seems like I should go east. So I go a little bit this way. In a little bit, it splits again in three. I was like, man, there's no, I don't know how I'm going to make it. And all of a sudden, ATV comes up the hill, and two guys come off, and they had rifles. Like, hey, who are you? What are you doing here? You know, you know, I'm a friendly guy, a little smile. And I was like, hey, we have this bike race here. There's 300 other guys coming right behind me. Just be careful. But I don't know if they were going to threaten me just to know that I'm not alone, right? This was my quick idea. And also, anyways, let's not go there. But I'm Bulgarian, that's Macedonia. There's some friction there. So I was hoping none of that comes in play. And they was like, oh, we're just hunting. I was like, okay, good luck, guy. But I'm like, 2 in the morning, this can't be legal. That was a big gun, too. What kind of animals are you killing with this gun, you know? I'm walking in the forest, and I'm like, oh, man. I hope they didn't scare the animal to come this way.
Oh, gosh.
But I made it out. I made it out. That was a sketchy part of the race. Albania and Macedonia. Oh, man. That was tough. Yeah.
Okay, so all riders carry a GPS. Were you watching other riders' GPSs, or were you just focused on your own, on yourself?
First week, I was not.
Okay.
I had enough problems on my own, and I learned my lesson not to. That's part of that mental game, which is more than 50% of this kind of racing. So I'm like, because one girl pulled next to me at one point, and we spoke for like 30 seconds, and she was like, oh, I was looking at this dot in front of me, and the dot went this way, I went that way, so I wasn't sure if I'm taking the right road. I'm like, why do you care, you know? But my point is, you end up stressing over what others are doing when all you should be doing is focus on you. So I was doing my own thing. Somewhere in is it France? Yeah, somewhere before Col de Tourmalet, I started looking at others. And particularly in one section, I did notice guys going the different direction, quite a few of them, you know, and there was a stiff headwind. And I looked in that direction, I was like, there's mountains, but you know what? I'm going to just improvise. Because you can do whatever you want. You just have to get to the next control point. So I deviated a little bit there from the route, but besides that, I was sticking to my route.
What would you say throughout the race your greatest strengths were?
I think planning, experience, you know, efficiency, and just keep on moving. My route was perfect. I trust my bike mechanic skills. You know, I don't get afraid easy from problems, and I knew that, you know, as long as I take care of myself, you know, in the evening, I will do really well. Not as well as I wanted to because of the mechanicals, but I made a huge progress because the first control I was 200 and I don't know 66, and on the second one I was 166. Like I was making jumps. But yeah, my strength is the same. I might not be the fastest guy, but I'm trying to make it in the areas when I'm stronger, you know, with my experience, with my you know, mechanical skills. logistics, those things. I know some guys get lost, some guys cannot find hotel, or it's a shitty hotel, or can't find food. I mean, there was plenty of bad stories. No water because they decided to get on the gravel in the middle of the day. Not decided. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. You just get there when you get there, but you can kind of plan it the 2 days prior. So I think my strategy, due to my experience, helped a lot. I mean, I had so many spreadsheets and planners to guide me through everything. So
I mean, it comes through loud and clear that the way you approach obstacles, the way you approach the race as just, a problem to be solved versus an obstacle there to stop you. And that is a huge strength, because you meet everything with like, how am I going to get over this one? And the steadiness around that comes through loud and clear. But it also comes through like physiologically, training wise, your fitness was really on point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to your first comment, we also get scared. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. You also, your mind is running, and you consider sometimes quitting. Not consider, but it crosses your mind, or you're without water and you're like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? This hurts a lot. I can't find where to sleep, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and it's super cold. But you just push through. And sorry, your second question, I was going sideways here a bit.
No, that's okay. I'm going to come back to that. There's just so much in all of this, but your physical form, your fitness level seem to be really a strength too. Like your preparation was on point.
Yeah, I think so. I know my disadvantage was the climbing. Obviously, if you're 130 pounds, which some of these guys were, you have a really nice setup, and maybe even a local guy. So logistics and time zone acclimation is not an issue. I knew they will do a little better. I mean, there's no way if I'm 40 pounds heavier overall, I can do better unless, my FTP is the same as Pogacar. But yeah, the experience, I know on the climbs what I have to do. I know I can take out a lot of people. I can go crazy for 3 days and be, in the top 20, 30, but then it's going to be over for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to finish. That was the number one goal. I mean, anyway, I don't want to say that something tragic happened yesterday, but some of the top racers, I think, let's put it this way. I think top 30, I looked the top 38 finished from the top 30 guys.
Yeah.
And the cap numbers from 1 to 30 is usually like cap 1 is the winner from last year, cap 2. So anyway, so even the most experienced guys, a third of them didn't even make it. It doesn't matter how fast you are, how good you are, if you don't finish.
Yeah, the DNF rate for this year was something like 57%, wasn't it?
I think so, yes.
Incredible. So you get closer and closer and closer to the finish. I think you had a really difficult day just before the finish. Like there was a section of road that your bike nearly. What happened there?
Yeah. Well, first, before we get to Romania, you go through Bulgaria, right?
Right.
So when I crossed the border, Serbia, Bulgaria, I was so happy, I'm in Bulgaria. I can't believe this. Yeah. And I was hoping to surprise everyone with a different route, which I did. I was actually also surprised nobody else, not many, took the same route. But it seems like the general idea was for guys to stay by the Danube River. And if, for anyone experienced and doing this kind of things, you know that if you're by the river, it's flatter, you find towns, you find water, food, water, etc. But I'm born there and I knew that this was not the best option there. And I was seeing the big bulk of people just moving slowly along the Danube River, going east towards Romania, and I was kind of going diagonal. But I was thinking about this other small river in the middle of the country, and it's kind of covered. You have beautiful towns, you have food, the pavement is nice, there's no wind. And I kind of went across. I even crossed my hometown. Obviously, I can't go home. It's against the rule, So I continue north. But I know these towns. I know the streets. I know every single thing there, So I think, I don't know, it might have been a group of 30 to 40 riders on top. I was able to kind of stay ahead of them, sleep, and still stay ahead of them. So that was beautiful. But yeah, to your question, as soon as I crossed Romania, surprisingly, that was the coldest day of the race. Temperature went down to 39, I believe. 2-3 degrees Celsius, maybe.
Yeah.
And then immediately after, you hit the gravel. Mind you, they changed that parkour. It was bad, but apparently there was even more issues. In fact, they extended. So the first riders went through and they realized there's some dogs and there's some other problems, some bad road traffic. So they changed it for us. And they made it longer. Yeah, I think it was 20 to 24 miles, but guys, this was something crazy. They actually apologized to us in a way. Maybe the only thing I can say is they said that they knew what we were going through. They didn't really check it, but they had to make a last time adjustment. It was brutal because you kind of, again, you're by the river. You see these highways on the side, but you're under these bridges and highways and you're along the Danube River, but there's really no road. It's just these big, large rocks. Some fishermen on the side, rocks are flying. I was thinking there's no way I don't get a flat here, But adrenaline is rushing. You're 2 hours from the finish. I was riding off the saddle. I was just going. I was like, you know what? I don't care. Even if I flat, I'm going to walk to the finish. Stupid, because 20 miles can take you 10 hours. And I finished with 14 hours to spare. But I think I passed 2 guys there. And one of them had a major mechanical there. He had to go to a town. The other one was never able to catch. And the second section of that parkour, there was like 10 inches of water in one section. There was a goat path and a herd of goats and dogs came, and it was madness. It was so hot. I can't believe it. And then we finished on the sand. I almost fell.
And at this point, I would imagine you're like, am I hallucinating this? Are there really a herd of goats? So what is the finish like? Like, what is the finish line when you...
Beach finish, isn't it? It's a beach finish.
Yeah, beach finish. We finished on it's a techno name. Zoom Beach. It's called Zoom Beach in Constanța, Romania.
Is there like a group of people to welcome you, or do you... Okay.
Yeah. Especially for me, I mean, one of the motivators, my family, right? But it's at this bar. So you have all the finishers there, and you have some of the photographers and whatnot from the organization. So they came out to greet me, and all the other families that are waiting, the following riders. But my sister was there, Anita, my aunt Nelly, my dad Emil, and man, that was a touching moment. It was all worth it. Just hugging them because they lived through it. I know they worry a lot. Some obviously, they're all supporting me, but they all worry. Some probably even wish I do less, or
I can relate.
But they were there for me, and I'll be forever grateful. It was beautiful.
Wow, you have something.
It's one image that I seen that I can recall from when we were looking through the social media. There was one image that showed the bottom bracket of your bike. I think it was the bottom bracket of your bike. It looked like there was a huge hole in the frame. Is that correct?
Yeah, stuff. Like I told you guys, I never crashed too, so that was a big luck. But yeah, I finished with a cracked frame. I didn't want to say anything, but about 2 days before I finished, 2 or 3 days, I looked down because I had to clean something from the chain ring. It's not the chain stay, but the tube connecting where the bottom bracket is, and no, it is the chain stay. Yeah. So there was a nice crack there.
Holy, that last parkour must have tested that frame, but it held.
Oh, it helped. And I'm like, wow, carbon is as tough as they say. I've seen some really nasty things, mainly handlebars or bikes being broken in half, but this bike did not break, so I'll take it.
I hope it's on the wall in pride of place at this point.
I left it in Bulgaria.
Okay. What
My shoes broke. They're carbon, some on the bottom. there was just a little bit of carbon in the front, a little bit in the middle where they connect, and a little bit in the back. But in the middle, in between, there was so much missing pieces. Everything just took its toll. Yeah, all the new equipment just went to waste, but it's not a waste. It was so worth it.
I mean, you've used this term. It was so worth it. So, overall, this race really has a pride of place. I mean, this is an epic achievement. What was your final place in the race? Where did you finish?
Yeah, I think from 400, 180, 160 finish, I was 112, I believe.
Brilliant.
112.
No, amazing. And I always ask this question because what you guys do when you go racing is nothing short of miraculous to me. I don't have the courage to put myself on a start line. It's not what I need to do, but I have so much admiration for the people who do. So what impressed you about yourself, Georgie? I mean, you walked away, you must have been impressed with your performance. What parts of it impressed you most?
The way I handled the gravel and the heat, especially with the setup I had. Yeah, I know I had what it takes physically and mentally, but yeah, I think so. Yeah, going through all these mountain passes for not being a climber. I mean, I climbed Col de Tourmalet. I went down Col de la Finestre, Cala de Siete. We were down in Siena Pacentro. We were in Picos de Europa. We climbed the Albanian Alps, as they call them. I mean, there was some, I went Col du Abyss. I went Col de la Portet. The La Portet was okay. I think you enter France from Spain there on the other side, and then you go down Col du Abyss. You think you're descending, it's a false flat. And then the Tourmalet. I mean, those are monster climbs. I mean, it could take you 5 hours. So, and Col du Abyss, I was there at 1 in the morning. I was dead, like physically, but it's just bad timing. That was pretty bad day too, because there was no hotels there. So I'm like, well, I have to climb it and then figure out the rest on the downhill. But on the downhill, the fog was so thick, I can hardly see past my nose. And they have all these freaking llamas and goats and, wild horses. So I'm going down and you hear their bells, because they even hook up the horses with bells. And I'm just here listening for the bells, but it's pretty frightening, so just making it through that.
Is he with a big smile on his face? It's pretty frightening, but it's awesome.
We're thrill seekers. That's why we go back. Once you experience this, so you're like, I can do better. Let me do it again.
Will you go back?
Of course I will. When the right time comes, yeah. Likely not next year, but my son that's graduating school soon. But yeah, maybe in a couple of years. Well, if my stars align, if I have the vacation, and I have the money, of course.
The two constraining factors. After such a big experience like this, it must take time to integrate, what the hell just happened and who am I now? And
yeah,
beyond the recovery, which is, this physical recovery too, but, looking back on it and talking through it now, what did change for you? What would be your reflection looking back on it? What are the big highlights that you'll never forget?
Well, I'm not just answering the question, but I mean, once again, it's humbling. Let me go back to bike nonstop. I was more isolated there, so it's almost like a PTSD. Like you don't see people for days in the desert. So when I came back, I was it took me time to adjust, especially a big group of people. I was uncomfortable, loud noise, cars, just the speed of the cars, everything looked so strange. Like I was completely removed from everything. That was 21 days. In this instance, it wasn't as bad, but really during this event, you realize how fortunate you should be. Well, personally, how small we are on the big scale of everything, how you should appreciate everything you have, your family, give them all the love, and just be a better person. But it puts everything in perspective because, amongst the challenges that you have, you see so many people that are worse than you. You go through all these places where people are less fortunate than you. They're born in worse situation. They have harder time, but yet they're so nice to you. They're so humble. They offer you, if if you can accept it, obviously, but food, shelter. It's a really nice experience to see. And I like seeing different cultures, different places. Mind you, I visited the 3 Grand Tour countries in one race. I mean,
That's amazing.
and all these monumental climbs.
Yeah.
It's just a dream.
It's something else. Well, I have to say your media was fantastic. A picture is worth 1,000 words because, you really did take us along with you. So thank you for that. And do you guys, I know I've taken over the conversations about that. Do you guys?
I overdid it, with the pictures, but you see all the guys, even the top guys do it. I think part is what I was just saying. You kind of do it to feel connected because you're so isolated. Because people want to tell you, you're wasting time. Race, get off social media. I'm really doing it when I'm climbing 3 miles an hour, but you have to get your mind away and you get a little bit of a response. People comment or even, they just saw me and I'm fine. Like my family, it gives them a little bit of reassurance. So I like it for that reason.
I get that. Sorry, you had a question.
The concept for me, after listening to the story, is the long way home.
It is a long way home back to Bulgaria, isn't it? And your family. It's what a finish.
Yeah.
That's it. Like
What a finish.
that's the whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's the story.
Sometimes you get thrown out into the wilderness and you have to find your way home. Now, I do want to make sure that I remember to say this. I want you to come to Ireland and do the Transatlantic Way. That's, self-supported race all up on the Wild Atlantic Way. Because, you do have a place to start and finish at our house. And I think it's an amazing, yes, I really want you to do that. I want you to see our country and I want you to come over here and see what we ride in. And I just think it would be amazing.
Lots of rain jackets.
Yeah, but I mean, the climbing will be nothing compared to what you've been through, but it'll get your attention.
And I love rain. I love shitty weather because I know everybody else hates it. At least I like killing myself that, but I've done a lot of rain, so no problem.
Mark, did you have any comments, questions?
Yeah. Well, a couple of questions. I'm fascinated by the contrast between the supported and unsupported, and obviously everybody's in the same race. So from a competitive standpoint, you're all playing by the same rules. But boy, the challenges that are implicit in that unsupported structure, the mechanicals, the find food, find a place, none of those exist in supported racing. And I've never done a long distance unsupported race. I can only imagine, I'll say, that after doing 17 and a half days in this race or 21 days in bike nonstop of unsupported, when you look at something like Race Across the East, which I know you're considering for next year, it has to, in terms of the intimidation factor, it's like a training day. It's nothing compared to what you just did. I just can't get my head around the emotional, mental obstacle of launching for what if you're successful, is going to be 17 or 18 days with nothing but what's on your back and what you can find, maybe if you're lucky, in a store. And I know Europe in particular, grocery stores at night, it's just not a thing.
Yeah.
If you don't have whatever's not on your back at 6 p.m. till 8 a.m. or so the next morning, you just don't have access to it. Versus, the van's right there. What do you want?
Yeah.
7-Eleven in America, gas stations.
Yeah.
I just did a 380-mile ride last weekend, and 7-Eleven, gas station in the middle of the night, 3 in the morning, no problem. Not the same in in Europe.
No, no. Any contrast stand out in your mind between TCR and Bike Nonstop US?
Contrast. Well, the whole design your own route, that's the biggest difference. Besides that, the desert in the US is it's really tough. Just getting out of the desert, here, if you make it to the Mississippi River, you're good to go. You see people, green lush, services for self-supported people, but I think the desert, that was a big change. Spain has a desert, but no, we really didn't touch much. Italy, on the other hand, I almost had a heat stroke there.
Yeah.
I think that's a major difference. Other than that, the level, again, I said I'm 112, but they don't do groups like RAM every 5 or 10 or 20 years. There's gender, obviously, and there's a green leaderboard, and they have like the fastest of the parkours, the first finisher, the last finisher. They give out jersey for those. They have different awards. But I think this is really the biggest difference. Just the level of competitiveness. I mean, Christoph Strasser finished in 4th place. So that tells you something. And I know some of the other top guys, Leo Wilcox, I don't know what position she was, but, many thought she will win. And some other riders that they will win. I mean, there were legitimate 10, 15 riders they can win. Like Justinas, who won Tour Divide. And so many riders, Abdullah was there. But, the level of competitiveness, you can't compare, 15, 20 riders race. 3 or 4 are going to be good. The rest, they're still good, but not good enough to compete. But when you have 500, 600, and there are 50 riders that can win, it's really fun. It's really fun. Their social media is great. I think the terrain, I love it so much better. Just and not to hate or take side, but different culture, different language, different food, different habit. It's just beautiful. It's not challenging. It's much easier to be in the same country, right? Same language, again, same of everything. You don't have to worry about border crossing too, right? Some guys, like I'm a double citizen, so I have a EU citizenship, so I can cross through. But I'm assuming some guys might have had issues, and I think one guy got lost in Albania and entered Kosovo. And that's not a recognized country by Serbia. So if you enter Serbia afterward, they kick you back. So there are those stories, That's problematic for some. Yeah.
I do have to, I agree there that TCR's media and socials are fantastic. I mean, they really do bring such a huge race to life. I mean, I think that's a hard thing to do as well. So, but listen, thank you for taking the time, because I've been waiting with so many questions. And one of the reasons we do this, obviously at Bar Ultra, is we want to learn from each other, and we want to foster that and keep that alive. And you've contributed so much, and the stories will now be legendary. Do you remember the time Georgie met the 2 guys on an 8 with rifles? It's like, that's going to live on.
Story.
It is a neat story.
Write a book. Thank
So,
you guys. And you have the best questions, so I love you guys. You know all about the sport, and yeah, thanks for your time.